Hello, Mike. Thank you so much for coming to chat today. I'm excited for this conversation and to hear about everything that's been going on with you and LAK Group. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation as well.
Awesome. And as context, we are talking out of the Banter podcast. This is hosted by Yoodli, and the goal of this is to bring on Yoodli's amazing customers and highlight the work that they're doing with their own business, but in general with how they're bringing about AI coaching and AI role plays to the organization, and what kind of benefits or even downsides they've had. So today we're excited to talk with Mike Grubich from LAK Group to highlight their story. And Mike, I'll turn it over to you to give your intro.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me again. Mike Grubich. I'm the president and CEO of a company called LAK Group. We're located in the Milwaukee area in Wisconsin, but service companies globally. I've My business partner and I bought the business in 2019. Most of my career, however, has been in companies as the head talent person. So I worked for one of the larger healthcare systems in the Midwest. I was a senior vice president of talent. I worked for a Kohler company for a while as the global VP of talent and diversity and inclusion. I was the VP of HR for Case New Holland, large agriculture construction equipment company, and then Jockey, the apparel company where I was the head of learning and development for a number of years and did some HR work there as well. So most of my life's been buyer of these kind of elements, and now I get the luxury of working with lots of great companies around the world and putting talent practices and processes in place. So of which the AI element continues to become a bigger and bigger element of that.
One of the best things about working with Mike and team is that they represent like a part of sort of the global industries that are, I would say, not just, I think, untapped from an AI workflow optimization standpoint, but also are net new industries for myself. And so it's been incredible to learn from you and other folks around like what does it
Mhm.
mean to really like be in the Midwest and work with these kinds of companies and how do they think about outplacement, interview coaching, what are things top of mind? So super excited for the conversation. As
Yep.
context, Mike and LAK Group were some of the first folks that we at UB were speaking to, and which is why I'm particularly excited because it's not just talking about what role plays mean, but also how they've evolved in your organization. And so excited to dive into that. I'll start off with the first question just to set the stage, which is like, what is kind of one or two of the top main career coaching problems that companies like LAK Group are trying to solve?
So great question. I mean, one of them is just time, right? With career coaching, you got to meet people where they're at, and they're going through a change in life, or they're searching for a change. They're trying to handle a lot of different things, and so on. Making something that's available when they need it. So, for instance, interviewing practice, right? They have an interview coming up. They may not be able to schedule something 2 weeks out with a career coach. Having a tool that they can go in and practice on their time, on demand when they need it is a really important element. The second thing that we see a lot is, we do a lot of work with people up front on career when we do career coaching with them to help them get a sense of what they want to do, where they want to go. And probably 50% of people do a little bit of a change. If they were an accountant, they go into operations, they do something different. So there's a little confidence boost they need to have. And when they're getting ready for those interviews, after we've worked on helping them position themselves, there's nervousness going into it, and the AI scenarios and working with Udly helps. We've seen a ton of progress with people getting confidence in their ability to answer questions, test a few things out, see how it goes, so when they go into that real interview, they feel real comfortable and they show up really well.
Amazing. Okay. And what have you tried in the past before there were solutions and
Yeah.
tools? Like what worked, what didn't work?
Yeah, and so this Isha highlights a big win for us. And in the past, we did interview practice, which required man hours, right? Because we had to have the coach spend time and schedule it. work with the person, do practice interviews, and and it's different when there's someone that you know or interacting with on the phone versus working with a simulated activity, right? There's just for some reason it still people feel a little uncomfortable. But we would do it manually, right? We would have practice interviews. We historically the company before I bought it we had a bank of offices that people would come in and they'd sit in the office, they'd be dressed, and how they're going to show up, and we'd do a simulated interview. And honestly, sometimes they'll still work, but more times than
Mhm.
not, we can do it now more efficiently. It doesn't take 2 hours of the candidate's day and an hour or so out of our day or a couple hours of prep. So we save a lot of time and money because we can use a simulated activity to do the same thing just as effective, honestly, sometimes even better.
Yeah. You mentioned that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, which I think highlights a really important point that AI is not here to replace every kind of interaction.
Sure. Yep.
So could you speak to like how, the sometimes it does work having that human to human interaction and like, what you're doing in that regard as well?
Yes. Some people just prefer to do things live, right? So
Mhm.
we have companies that we do leadership programs. They want to get people in a room because they like that experience. And so we that one of the things at LAK Group we pride ourselves on, we adapt and we can do it any way that the person wants. We have this meet people where they're at mindset. And so it's making sure they're comfortable and we're doing something that works for them. More
Mhm.
gregarious people like to sit down. They'll talk to you for 30 minutes before you even practice the interviews, just because that they need to express themselves outwardly, and get
Mhm.
energy from that. Some tend to get energy from being able to shut the door and do something on their own. So it's great we have solutions for both, and we see great results both ways because we're able to meet people where they're at.
Yeah. I like that distinguisher of like meeting people where they're at. I think that's really important when it comes to learning, because everybody learns differently and everybody comes to the table with different sets of backgrounds
Sure.
and experiences. So I really like
Yep.
that. At what point did you realize that there was an opportunity to try something else, like AI role plays? And at that time, like what were you looking for?
Yeah, so it's a great question that aligns philosophically how we build and deliver things at LAK. And this comes from a lot of my and some of our team's experiences career-wise is we know that the human brain works by practically applying and trying things, right? So you can tell someone how to do something, you can be great at training them, but until they practice it, apply it, and make it become part of their daily routine, it's probably
Mhm.
not going to stick. And so we always like to incorporate those elements into any program we design, whether it be outplacement or development or coaching, anything like that. And so looking for ways to do that is more on demand when people need it is a priority for us. And we know also that generations coming into the workplace, they like the technology element. They like that freedom to do things when they want to and when they can. So we had to find a solution that would match that, or else we were going to fall ourselves falling behind.
Yeah. When you speak about needing to find a solution for generations, what gets my head thinking is a lot of the newer generations. So some of the up and coming folks coming into graduating from college or even like starting to enter college, find jobs of any kind, whether part-time or full-time. A lot of them, many of them have grown up talking to an AI, so like interacting with an AI.
Mhm.
What have you seen in terms of the generational differences in interacting with an AI through the work that you're doing?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, not as much as one would think generationally, right? And
Okay.
it gets to that person's personality, right? I know 24-year-olds who want to talk to me. They want to sit in my office. I'm helping a friend's son, just graduated school, looking for his first job. He wants to come into the office and talk to me, right? Doesn't have any desire to look at AI. Doesn't mean he doesn't like it. It's just not for him. At the same time, we do some mid-level leader programs for healthcare and manufacturing, and you get 45, 50-year-old people who've been managing people for a long time. they love that they can go try something out and get some feedback
Mhm.
and are amazed. They're like, this is great. I get to hear someone tell me how they might react. I can test it, and then I change how I do it when I go talk to the person live, and I'm more confident. So I haven't seen. I've seen people from all generations really like it and engage it because they love that learning style. Just like I've seen from all generations say that this isn't for me. I'd rather talk in person, or I'd rather read something because I apply when I read. So I had my father try this, he's 84 years old, and
Mhm.
he now to be transparent, he grew up in the IT space in his career, but he thinks it's the
Okay.
coolest thing ever. He joked with me, he said, "I wish I would have learned how to talk to your mom with this a few years ago. Before years ago, I would
Yeah.
have been better at talking to your mom." So I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
that's not what it's for, Dad, but thanks for the feedback." So
Yeah. No,
so
that's amazing. Actually, interesting enough, Mike, people do use AI role plays for tough conversations in a
oh
personal
yeah,
setting too. So
yeah, absolutely.
I
But
like,
yeah, I think generationally it transcends. I think it's just, is it right for that person?
yeah, yeah. And so when you talk about people in their 40s and 50s having had manufacturing or construction or these kinds of jobs be really excited by AI, what have you observed as their comfort level with an AI learning experience?
So initially unsure,
Uh-huh.
then they get comfort. So it takes a couple times
Okay.
to do it. The first time it might be real quiet, not knowing what to say, and then they eventually get comfortable, and then before you know it, it's not a problem at all. But it takes a little more time because there's a
Yeah.
little skepticism, to be transparent. I think people think, we've had to cross this path with people about, if I do this, is it going to be posted somewhere on social media because it's out in the AI, world? I'm like, well, no, 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 that's not how this works, right? This is, and just getting people comfortable with that.
Okay. That's awesome. And how has LAK Group designed the curriculum around the Oriel AI Coach? So that's your AI roleplay
hmm
tool powered by Yoodli. How have you designed the experience to make it easy for those folks to have um, a risk-free first time interaction?
Yeah. Well, first thing is we integrated into it. We have a tool called Oriel, which is what we use for both outplacement and then for coaching.
Uh,
And we have linked it into Oriel so people can go in, and it's easy to access it. It's right there. We make it part of the process, so we're pretty intentional about where it fits in, and we help them along the way. The other thing that we've done is we have kept it very disconnected, so people still have to log into our Udly element in Oriel with a different password, and that may sound like it's an extra step, but actually we find people feel comfortable with that because then they know it's their private space, right? They're not just going into a system that everybody else is. So it adds a little bit of credibility because we tell everyone it's yours. No one can see it. You send it to your coach. They don't have access to it. And it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable with it. But we have it right there, so it's a click away, and we do communications throughout our coaching processes to say, hey, have you tried this out, or do this session and bring it for your conversation with your coach. We're real intentional with that.
okay. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Really good learning for me as well. Um, so you spoke a little bit about Oriel, and we talked a little bit about the Oriel AI Coach. Could you share sort of two pseudo questions? One is, can you share the use cases, a little bit more around the outplacement and interview coaching, and then also the learnings?
Yeah. Yeah. So use cases we've kind of focused on is specifically around the interview practice, right? So we in our outplacement process, it's a specific part of the process, right? We take them through really setting a stage as to where they want to go, helping build their
Mhm.
social media and their resume, helping them with job search readiness, things like that. And then we get to that next phase, which is about the fourth phase where they're, oh, all right, now we're preparing for these. So that's where we've really put it in there. And the reason we started to do that is because it created a lot more flexibility. We didn't have to use as many coach hours to do this, and people got a better experience out of it in most cases. So does that satisfy what you're thinking for from a use case point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got more to add,
Yeah.
that's great.
The other is on the coaching, so traditional coaching. So we have a really good size executive coaching practice, but we've been really intentional at LAK. We've wanted to target the middle level of organizations because coaching tends to be too expensive for them. So we've come up with a solution called Coaching on Demand that offers a shorter time frame of coaching. We have our technology platform that they use that has an algorithm for matching, and it helps manage the process. And we bring the AI as a tool in there, so they have the time with their coach, their one-on-one coach, but they also have time that they can work um, asynchronously by themselves on simulated role plays. So the third way we've done it is we do a lot of culture shaping and leadership programs. And this is a great in-between learning sessions tool for people. So we build a lot of our programs over a 3 to 6 month time frame, and
Hmm.
there's work between sessions, group coaching and AI and micro learning that we assign. And the AI has been one of the more popular tools because they can go in and practice things that they're then applying on the day-to-day job.
Okay. Um,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 that wasn't gonna say anything. Sorry.
Um, so with these different use cases, where have you seen interesting learnings?
Yeah, so the some interesting learnings the is that not everyone likes using AI.
Uh-huh.
Some people do, some people don't. So making sure that we have options for everyone. Some people like coaching, some people don't. So we just want
Hmm.
we're very adaptable in that sense. But the other thing we learned how to use the scenario building tool in Yoodli a lot more with intent because we started to see very specific ways we could apply the AI that is very well connected to the content that we're teaching, which then leads to people taking the time to do it. So if people make that connection, like, ooh, if I practice this, it's gonna help me with a skill that I really want to develop. And so we got more intentional about the scenarios that we were doing. And
Hmm.
we've found for our business, it's actually become a way of add-on business because we can go back to companies and say, hey, if you want to do more AI scenarios, we can create some more for you. And
Okay.
and so it's led to a lot more add-on business along the way too.
Okay. Interesting. What are examples of, actually, could you share a little bit about what, like, the scenario building means, and then also examples of what you've created for customers?
Yeah, so we one of our customers we use, we're helping them with culture. It's a global company. We've worked with almost 3,000 leaders globally. And we did the rollout of new culture beliefs. There was a whole process we went to. Everyone goes through about a 6 month process. And after they go through that, they're good, but it's all right, how do we keep it going? How do we keep this going? And it's not a matter of putting them in room for more workshops. It's tools like scenarios that take the 5 culture beliefs that they have. We have scenarios written around all 5 culture beliefs and the behaviors that people can go out and access anytime. So they have a license for the year, and they can use those based on the timing, or if a situation comes up, they know they can go to a scenario, practice it, prepare for that conversation. Most of them are around difficult conversations or change, things like that. So they can go out and practice those. So they're very specific, very linked to the culture beliefs and the behaviors associated with those. So we see a pretty good usage out of those.
Okay, that's awesome. So if I could summarize for the audience, what you're saying is you've worked with a company where you've done a whole culture belief learning program that's lasted, 6 months. And as part of that, you will go into Yoodli and build out 5 role play scenarios, one that is corresponding to each major culture belief. And it's available for the learners at this company. So after they go through the workshops, they have sort of a collection of
Right.
role play scenarios around um, keeping up with the culture and being able to have crucial conversations that tie back to these cultural elements.
That's 100% accurate, and that what it's leading to is
Okay.
them wanting more scenarios, right? Because before you know it,
Okay.
there's all kinds of things we can apply it to.
Okay. Wow. Um, Fascinating. You earlier you spoke about how one of the sort of target demographics within a company is sort of that mid-level.
Hmm.
Um, so historically, or maybe even today, folks the higher in the organization would get live coaching, human coaching, but folks who are not at that executive level wouldn't have the opportunity. And if I
Right.
heard you correctly, what you're saying is this exposes the Oriel AI coach exposes this as a learning mechanism for that population. Is that right?
That's correct. We can do it at a lower price, which
Okay.
means that at that larger population, companies can afford it more.
Okay.
A lot of organizations like dealing with high potentials and senior leaders and director and above, which we do as well. We actually have a special place in our heart for that mid-level because it's such a large leadership element of a company,
Yeah.
and it's often forgotten, that mushy middle. So we like to make sure we have programs are that target development for that level. And this is a way to do it at a cost that's affordable and brings in some of these tools because they'll use just in time or type of learning and on-demand learning, and the scenarios and the role plays all really work for that.
Hmm. Awesome. You've been using AI coaching, AI role plays, Yoodli's solution for some time now. What are some of the wins you've had?
Yeah, so definitely some of the wins. It's from a coaching point of view. It's we've seen it just gives another element of our coaching process and our development process. Our companies look at it as that we're really adding value. So they
Mhm.
see that we have a comprehensive solution that adapts to different person's needs. So that's worked out really well. We've saved money on our outplacement side by being able to use this tool to deliver some of the services really effectively, and
Mhm.
not needing to spend a lot of person hours doing that.
Mhm.
And then the other I believe the win for us is that our customers or prospective customers see us as looking at things from a different perspective. We're not traditional. We're non-traditional. Even though there are some elements that are always going to be traditional, we
Mhm.
adapt based on the specific needs. So it just opens up a lot more doors for us. One other win I would say is that we see
Yeah.
people applying the learning, which that's the biggest win of everything, right?
Yeah.
We get out there, we're helping people become better leaders or better professionals. And when you
Mhm.
see the smile on their face because they get it, and they've changed behavior that now they've kind of anchored and are doing and made a new habit out of it. That honestly of
Mhm.
everything is the biggest win.
Awesome. What have you heard people say to you kind of when they follow up and say, thank you for providing this to me? It's led me to, X, Y, and Z. In general, what are some maybe quotes that you hear from folks on this?
Yeah, I feel confident having conversations with people on my team. People understand. I'm coming across more clear. I'm getting my message across more firmly, because I have more confidence and I approach it a little bit differently. I don't make as many mistakes. We hear a lot of simple things like I've gotten rid of a lot of spacer words. I'm not saying and ah and different things like that as much. Presentations for different internal or external stakeholders, people feel they're doing a lot better on. Probably the biggest one though is a lot of the development discussions, performance discussions, or challenging discussions. That's where we hear the most feedback that people have more confidence and they go a lot more effectively.
Okay, awesome. One of my favorite questions to ask is like, what has been something unexpected,
Yeah,
or what's something that sucked about
yeah,
rolling out AI role plays?
yeah. So the good thing is there's nothing that's been terrible, but I didn't know. I was surprised when we only see about 50. We only get about a 40 to 50% engagement rate with people when we gave them the access to the role plays. And what we found with some of that is just that's not their thing. And the other thing we found is we have to be more intentional. You can't just tell everyone, "Oh, hey, here's six scenarios you can role play." between our next session, go do those, and then we'll see at the next session. People are busy. They got so much going on. You can't just put it out there and expect they're going to do it. So we had to be more intentional with little communications or teasers or assign something in the process to where we pushed them out there versus just having giving them 100% accountability for it.
Yeah, it's a super point. We come across this as well. And I think, Mike, if you remember, one of the very first things we talked about earlier on is this is a learning tool that is doing things a little bit differently, right? Like trying to redefine what traditional learning
Hmm.
has looked like. And so there's some behavior change that's part of this. And
Definitely.
with behavior change is hard, right? Like think about the last time you changed some significant part of how you do things as an adult, right? So it's just a hard thing. Um, and then also with learning or enhancing a new skill, practice is a must. Having a peer community is also a second must. And so there's usually some tried and true rules around what goes into place when you're helping people develop a skill, a sport, etc. Um, so given that you've come across this learning and you have 40 to 50% engagement rates, what mechanism have you used that has kind of garnered the best results in terms of engagement and then therefore applied learnings?
Yeah, the biggest thing is our Oriel platform. So we can push notifications out to people. There's ways that we can get in front of them. So whether it be our system or the coach or the facilitator of the program that they're going through, we found little elements that we push notifications out to people to remind them that, hey, make sure you do this. So that way they're getting constant feedback from us. We're not just letting it sit there.
Yeah, awesome. Um, my favorite last question to ask is what is a resource that you recommend to coaches who are thinking about using AI to augment their coaching, their training?
What honestly, one of the resources is give me a call because I mean I'll welcome the conversation with anyone. Um, but I do get out and search. Uh, I specifically am searching for articles, different things on AI and what people are experiencing from as AI is coming more and more into the workplace. I mean, it's in the workplace, so we got to embrace that and because when you read those articles, I get a sense of what some of the opportunities are and what some of the potential roadblocks could be. So I continue to look for articles on what's happening out there, or viewing podcasts like this to hear stories that people are sharing, because that gives me a little bit more sense of what to expect and to watch out for.
Okay. I love it. Yeah, thank you. For folks listening who are wondering about how to roll this out within their practice, coaching practice, small, big, etc., please do reach out to Mike from LAK Group. Mike, how can people find you?
Yeah. So my email is Mike, or I'm sorry, that's not my email. My email is mgrubich@lak-group.com. Or you can stop at our website it's transformingcareers.com and reach out to me through our website as well.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today on the Banter podcast. I always love chatting with you because you come forward with these really interesting and innovative new ideas and learnings that help us think about how to advise other customers, but then also how to keep you motivated, trying new things. So really appreciate that and the conversation today. And excited to hear more about how y'all are using AI.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Isha. I enjoy the conversations equally as much. So, pleasure to be here.